name's Artemis, and this fandom of ours has some very, very interesting little subgenres and unique interests to it. Sort of things that only really gel with us and don't tend to fit in with an awful lot else.
Indeed, we have things such as paws and fursuits, which are pretty fucking ingrained within the fandom and do actually highlight some of the key aspects and appeals that this fandom holds for so many of us.
And one of the most prolific interests amongst the bunch is transformation. So this week, we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive into it and see if we can figure out exactly why it's so good in this fandom. Wait, really? Do we really need to answer this question? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
Yeah, but not everybody is fully clued up on this shit like you think they are, boy. And also, you can't really do an educational video and try and inform people if you're just going to assume they have all the information. But on the other side of that, transformation is pretty much what it says on the tin. It is transforming from one thing into another, usually through a process, something like maybe a spell or a potion, and of course, the fandom's beloved werewolf boyfriends.
And it's not always human to animal. It can be human to anthro-animal or feral. It can go either way, but there's also a variety of objects that can come into it because, hell, this fandom loves variety, and when you've got something like transformation, it can be applied to a great many things. Typically, clothing and stuff like that is obviously going to be interesting, but there's plenty of also little kinks and fetishes that can work their way in, and there's plenty of examples in the media that can show exactly why a lot of us like it.
Now, it has been said many times that often we can trace back our earliest instances of the interests that were a big part of our lives to things that we have seen in childhood, whether that's TV shows, movies, comics, books, games, whatever it is, the seeds are always sown early.
Exactly. In fact, I've said it enough my own damn self. But yes, you do have things such as the Animorph series. I mean, that's about people who get to transform into animals just by touching them, and that sounds honestly pretty ideal to a lot of us. I'm sure we've all had little dreams like that as a kid. Being a badass dog. Oh wait, shit, that one came true. Then of course there's the Disney films, which often go into certain things like this. You have The Sword and the Stone, which of course has many scenes where you're transformed into another animal, and all of the fun little hijinks that can come with that. I mean, there's the bird, there's the squirrel with the oddly obsessive female squirrel that was always a little bit uncomfortable for me, and years later I realised why. But then you also got things like Brother Bear, which takes on the whole transformation into another animal and finding yourself in a community that means much more to you. Finding that this is actually closer to what you want out of life and staying with that. And yep, I'm pretty sure you can draw the parallels there just as easy as I can. In fact, there are an absolute ton of examples for stuff like this, and that's before you even get into the whole werewolf subgenre. But don't worry, we're going there next. We're going to start off everybody's favourite werewolf boyfriend example, at least I think it is, with Van Helsing, which went with a full transformation and using it almost like a video game power-up, like, hey, you need this weapon to defeat the final boss. And they had a decent little example of it, I think. I reckon everybody can get on board with that. I mean, yeah, I imagine a lot of you have gotten thirsty just looking at it. But then you got things such as Hemlock Grove, which didn't shy away from the real gore and pain and agony of the transformation process, but went with a more feral approach, which I actually kind of really enjoyed. And I mean, it was easy for them as filmmakers to do, because it's like, hey, we'll just get a trained wolf. And you got certain things that kind of veered away from a potentially anthro direction with like Harry Potter, which, you know, it went through the nightmarish part of the transformation and how it's, you know, a burden on those. But I mean, the Harry Potter werewolf? No thank you, fuck off, no. But I suppose that's not as nightmarish as, you know, An American Werewolf in London went. I mean, that was the whole purpose of the film, but that one really does show the true horrors of transformation. But yes, the whole werewolf thing has kind of transcended transformation into its own little subgenre, which everybody seems to enjoy, especially this fandom, which took a real deep dive into it.
And yet, they never talk about the werewolf platonic friend, do they? Our asexual werewolves need more representation.
Yes, we've made that joke before and it got a small modicum of attention on Reddit. Okay, well done you. Get back to the fucking subject at hand and get over yourself.
But while there are plenty of positive examples of transformation that we can show in the background of these shots, there are also an equal amount, potentially, of not so nice examples that show the true horrors of it. And obviously, I'm just going to say, The Fly is going to be one of the most iconic, because goddamn, that does not shy away from the horrors that transformation can be.
That is true, that is a good one to mention as well, but in this fandom it is undoubtedly a very positive thing that we all seem to enjoy, at least if this poll of mine is anything to go by, which, you know, it's only a small one, so, you know, it's not the be-all and end-all, but people seem to generally like it, and a very tiny minority hate it, and I mean very tiny, that's like 1.7%. But seeing numbers like that, seeing the vast majority do actually enjoy this, it's no wonder that we found a variety of different ways in which to actually partake in it.
In this fandom, when we like something, we tend to obsess over it a fair degree, and that can come in the forms of artwork, that can come in the forms of animations and fiction, and even depictions in videos. So yeah, there's a fair amount of media out there, and we just keep pumping it the fuck out because clearly we like this thing.
I mean, just look at how often I'm flashing the paws.
Exactly, and of course, it is absolutely no different when it comes to transformation.
Now, obviously, one of the real drawbacks to this particular little interest is that it cannot really be realised in reality, and therefore it lends itself more to depictions in media, such as animation, more likely comics, artwork, that sort of thing, that can really get into the spicy details of what a physical transformation is like.
Sometimes this is painful, but it mostly has a sense of idealization to it. It is someone truly becoming their true selves and actually having that process of going towards what they see to be the best version of themselves. It can also be slightly embarrassing. That can also be part of the interest in it. I mean, randomly sprouting a tail and paws in public or at work is usually going to be a bit awkward.
But another big part of transformation is how easily it can be mixed in with other kinks and interests. Let's just go for the easy one right off the bat in paws, because paws are pretty universal, everybody likes them, but transformation lends itself quite nicely to them. I mean, just the process of the transformation itself often has an extra little detail of showing the feet bursting through the shoes as they turn from fleshy to furry, and that's obviously quite a hallmark of these transformations, but it can go a step further. It doesn't just have to be that you're transforming into something with paws, it can be that you're transforming into something for paws, clothing transformations, turning into shoes, something like that, where, you know, that's where we get into smell kind of territory, and I back off a little bit because not my bag. But macro and micro play can also come into it, where you're transformed into something bigger or smaller. It could also be another species or something like that. I mean, you could turn into a great big kaiju, and obviously that's where we maybe get into werewolf stuff, because, you know, werewolves are typically bigger and, well, dad bodies, essentially. They're werewolf dads with bigness. I don't know. It kind of just looks like that Big E thing, just, you know, slapping meat, big meaty guys. There'll be a clip here to contextualize that, I promise, because otherwise that sounds fucked up.
Want to see two big men with big with big chests and big muscles bumping meat.
I mean, why limit yourself? Transformation is such a varied thing that there are a wide variety of objects that you can transform yourself into for all kinds of uses, and I'm just going to leave it there because I imagine you can fill in the gaps yourself. Oh, fill in the gaps.
Lewd, basically. It's open to just so much lewdness. So much lewdness. So, why would transformation be such a big part of the fandom? I don't hear you ask, because this isn't a two-way communication setup. Well, we have some theories on that.
On the one hand, one of the biggest recurring themes in this fandom is that of escapism, of us escaping our boring, dull lives, our disgusting fleshy bodies, and morphing into something a bit more ideal. And usually that takes the form of finding a community that you're very close-knit in, but transformation can take an extra step on that. An extra step away from just, you know, a social side, you like the artwork, and more into idealizing that actual transformation and being that character that you truly feel you want to be.
Exactly. When these transformations take place, it is often from one thing to a second, more desirable, fantasized thing. It is a form of wish fulfillment, essentially, a way that we can shed those parts of humanity that we don't particularly like and become something new. We can live vicariously through these pieces of fiction, through these artworks and these animations, and try to see that idealized version of ourselves that we really want to be.
Oftentimes, these personas and creatures that we want to transform into are very idealized versions of ourselves that have been designed to be the epitome of everything that we want to be in life. So obviously, the process of going from what we are now to that is very, very desirable.
A lot of what people truly want from this fandom cannot be realised in everyday life, especially when it comes to being a giant fluffy dog, and I know the irony of me saying that. But that is why these things such as spells and potions can be appealing. It would be so lovely for it to be so easy to just take a little drink of this and you can have what you want. No wonder that's a big deal in this fandom.
And maybe, just maybe, we could take a step further, take a deeper dive and say that fursuiting itself is an act of transformation, and that donning these suits, we become that character that we feel so comfortable with. And for a brief, short period of time, we can be that which we truly desire to be.
I mean, I guess, but also it could just be something that's cool. Something that looks quite neat, that you could look at and go, oh, that's pretty cool. I could make a good comic of that, that'd be quite enjoyable. I mean, we can't discount the fact that sometimes people just look at a thing and go, oh, that's pretty cool, I like that. And that's it, that's the sum of it. Maybe they just like drawing it. And I mean, we can deep dive as much as we want and draw lines that transformation is in fact a part of some religion or some shit, but I mean, sometimes you have to admit that maybe people just look at it and go, ah, nice, yeah, that's cool.
Right, yeah, it could easily just be that, I guess. Just want to, shit on my parade. Fine.
Oh, fuck off, Freud, with your pseudo-psychology bullshit, alright? Doesn't all have to be some deep psychiatric dive, okay, into their psyche and why they truly like things. Sometimes people just like shit because it's cool, alright? So there you have it, there's our little look at the world of transformation and all that it entails. I mean, not obviously all that it entails, because it's pretty big and diverse, and I couldn't really capture everything, but I tried my hardest, and I hope you liked it.
Hopefully you enjoyed it, and maybe you yourself actually like transformation to some degree. If that is the case, then I hope we did the topic justice.
If you did enjoy it, then please consider subscribing and obviously become a haha Patreon, because that would be just so goddamn amazing of you. Like, I can't even express it in words. And obviously you would get some good stuff for that, and I would make sure you enjoyed it, because, oh, patrons, you make me so happy and so supportive, and honestly, I probably can't put into words just how much you help with my fucking life. My God, you're amazing. But, oh, there we go. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you for watching, and I guess I will probably see you next week. Well, you'll see me, it's a camera, it's not two-way.